Hey guys, DK Gaming here. So this video is also going to be targeting low level players. This one I want to talk to you guys about the rod types that are available to you in the game. So to do that, we're going to go over here to the tackle store. Um, so the first rod you guys are going to start out with right away is telescopic rods and also the spinning rod. You get both of these rods. We already know what the telescopic rods are. The telescopic rods are these right here. And when you look at a telescopic rod, it only has a few components. For example, you got your line and your float, and leaders, of course, and sinkers, hooks, and your baits. Um, but if you guys notice that there's no reels on this rod, so basically, when you look at your rod here, the line is basically attached to the tip of the rod. So basically, you only have um what you have on here. So there's no if the fish runs, the only thing is gonna happen is that the fish will just snap off at the end. Unless you got too strong of a line, then you break your rod, which you guys don't want to do that. Okay. And as I was explained before, as both the parameters, and you don't want to go over the test. The test what protects your rod. If you go over like 50 grams, and if you get broken off, your rod breaks, not your line. Actually, your line's gonna break in your rod. So yeah, don't do that. And the next one we're gonna talk about is the spinning. Your spinning rods. So the spinning rods are basically the setup that you use. For example, like this, for example, this is able to have a reel. However, a spinning reel only. I'll explain that. So you get your reel, fishing line, leader, and lures. You can't use anything else on this. Can't use baits or stuff like that. Only lures. Everything from the lure rig to jigging and all this stuff down here, which we'll talk about all these in another video because there's a lot to cover. But yeah, these are the four components that are part of the spinning rod. And then the other one you have access to right away will be the feeder rods. Feeder rods is basically, for example, it's basically for bottom fishing. And I'll show you that right now with um, this right here, Camera Comfort, which has a much complex type rig. So got your reel, your fishing line, your indicator, like a bite indicator, your bell or a beeper, anything you want like that. You could put a sinker on or feeders, which will allow you to use ground bait on your rod. You got your leader, which uses feeder leaders, like this type of leaders. There's type of leaders that only goes with this. They're for example, talk about that right now. The leaders right here, feeder leaders. This right here, what goes on the leaders. Like I said, this goes on feeder leaders. All the rest of these does not go on it. Only feeder leaders. Okay. And then down here is your setup. You got your hook and your baits. PVA is a much advanced type ground bait. Like this way here, it goes into the cages. This I'll talk about this in another part. But yeah, this right here, to use this, you need 100% on bottom and 100% on ground bait skill. Which, like I said, I'll talk about that on another part. So the feeder rig also has this up here. The quiver tip, you could change the sensitivity of your rod. For example, 14 grams would be ideal if you want to go fishing for roughies, because roughies is a very small fish, and if you use this quiver tip, this will actually able to detect the bite more easier. But if you use like a 28 or a 56, if you go fishing for roughies and you get a fish that's under the 28 grams or under the 56 grams, you ain't gonna know that's biting. It's just gonna stare and the fish will keep biting and whatnot. No, so always use 14 grams for a better detection for bites on small fish. And then here you have your uh, paternoster rig, inline rig, loop rig, bait fish rig, classic hair rig, snowman rig, classic pop-up rig, method feeder, pop-up method, hinge stiff rig, chod rig, maggot rig, and these ones right here are for something else, which I'll explain after. I will explain these methods on another video, because like I said, again, this is a lot to talk about to help you better understand. Okay? And then the next one I want to talk to you guys about is the match Bolognese and match rods. These kind of both almost similar type rigs here, and I do have both of those actually. Like the Bolognese right here. Give me a second. I'm looking for it. Actually, I might not have it. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so the Bolognese rod, as I was saying, right here. We'll put a reel on here. So the Bolognese rod is able to have all these right here. You can put a reel on this one. You know this is a float reel rod. You can have the reel, line, float, sinker, leader, hook, bait. You can have double baits if you have the sandwich skill unlocked, which I'll talk about the skills here after. Fixed float. You really don't have much to choose from really on this rig here. You can choose a fixed float, a Bolognese rig, and slider float rig. Seeing this is about the float, we'll talk about this. So the fixed rig float means that when you're using one of these, right? Let me pull this out. That you only allowed to adjust the depth with the plus or minus, and also with the feeder, not feeder, but the Bolognese, you can actually set a clip. Okay. So that's the difference with this. And then we have another type, which is a match rig, which would be this one right here. We'll look at this. So this rig also is able to use a reel. It has everything that is able to use. The difference with the match rig, it can use different type rigs, such as the match rig right here, which is able to use the waggler, which is a longer type float. You see right here. These are well, like long stick legs to me that sticks all the water, but these are the wagglers. Or when you look at the slider rig, I think actually adjusts with the as a float is in the water. It actually I believe, if I'm correct, that when you cast, it will actually adjust the depth depending on how deep the water is, and the float will just slide with the height of the area, you know, so the bottom and the water surface. So yeah. So let's see. For example, we say this is like a 2.5 meter to cast there, right? If I'm correct, if you use that setup, right, then this would actually reach 2.5 meters. I could be mistaken. I don't know offhand exactly. And then, actually, those are the only two float rigs to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about the next rod set. Now, keep in mind, the match rig and Bolognese, you do have to unlock it, though. Like right here, using a Bolognese rig or the match rig, which is right down here somewhere, right here. These have to be unlocked in order for you to actually use this type rods. But anyways, the next rod I want to talk to you guys about is the casting rods. The casting rods uses bait casters, low profile reels, and conventional reels. And I'll explain that right now. Like for example, you see how it says SP for the Barracuda, SP and SCS. This is casting and this is spinning. So this right here will look is a casting rod, right? This only allows you to use bait cast, which is shown right here. Low profile bait casting, classic bait casting, conventional reels only. So yeah. And as for this, it's same as the spinning, but just the reel is different. And then one thing about this type of reels, as I said before, you cannot put a clip on the bait casting reels. That's the only thing. Okay. And then the other rod would actually be jerking rods is basically I do have one of those right here. This is actually uses casting reels only. But the difference is this actually able to use heavy lures like the jerk baits here. As you see right here, you can use these type of lures on this rig. Now you can change your rig to lure rig and everything else, but it's more ideal for the jerk baits. And as for other rods here, this one right here are picker rods, which we'll talk about that after. The picker, and you got your other one also here got picker rod. We'll talk about the carp rods. Carp rods are, well, these rods right here are more heavy duty. And for example, the Fortuna carp. This allows you to actually use heavier setup, like for example 160 grams. This allows you to put the heavier weights and PVA and stuff on. So can the feeder rod. The only difference with the carp rods is don't have the quiver tip, as you see. And another thing is to use carp rods, you do need to unlock that as well in bottom fishing. And you'll see that right here at this scale. You need to unlock that to use carp rods. Okay. And then the other rod here is okay, let's talk about the picker and the spot. The picker rod is actually another feeder rod. Okay. Which I do have that. Which will be the Mecha. Right? Actually, is it the Mecha? No, not the Mecha. I don't even know if I should have. I don't think I ever bought the picker rods for this account yet. Let me see here. No, I never bought into them. But the picker rods are basically same thing. If you look at them right here, I'm just gonna buy it, but I'm not gonna use it. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Same thing like I was saying that it's a feeder type rod, but it's more sensitive, more lighter and stuff like that, 5 to 35 gram. This type of rods are actually good for like smaller fish, but it's like 28 grams. These type of rods be perfect for bream fishing and roaches and stuff like that. Not ideal for carps and stuff. I mean, and you see it's 6.2 kg, and it's nothing really anything special. I mean, that's why I never bought it. I mean, you get more experience, but it's the same to me. It's the same as your feeder rods or your carp rods. And that's why I never bought into it. It's really not necessary. And if you guys buy items that you guys don't want, you can just click here and just return it. Simple as that. As long as you don't use it or cast it, then it's fine. Okay. And as for the other type here, the other rod right here is a spud, which I do have that. Let's see here. I might have stored it, but it's right here. Spud. So the spud is like for ground bait only. You basically throw in the water to attract fish. You had to buy something right here, which is like a rocket or something like that. It's just you put a real line and stuff like that, but you put dry mix in to actually load it into this right here. There's two types. There's a rocket, and then there's a spud. I'll explain what these two are here after. But yeah, that's pretty much everything you know about this spud. And then there is one other rod type. But as I said, if you got the boat rods, right, you don't really need the marker rods. The marker rod just basically put a reel and line and stuff on, and you buy something over here in there. I think it's under accessories or something like that. I don't remember where you buy it at, but I know it's here somewhere. But maybe it's under marker. Right here. You gotta buy these right here to go with it. It just basically marks the depth of each area. But I also think it reads what type of bottom the water is, like if it's soil or silt, sand, anything like that. That should also read that. I never got into this, so I don't know what it really does. And then there is the marine tackle, the pilker, and the boat, which is only used for ocean fishing, which I will explain what that is, because I do have those. This right here is the coastal runner. This is actually boat rods. I don't think I have the other one anymore. Actually, I do, but it's in storage. So I'm not gonna go get it. But yeah, the boat rods is basically the reel, fishing line, shocker leader, pilker, basically vertical lures and stuff like that. This have like line extenders. There's all kinds of stuff to explain about that, which I'll explain I think in another video when we start talking about locations. Okay. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything to do with fishing rods available in the game. But yeah, if you guys liked the video, hit that like button, appreciate it. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.